Leg 3, day 1, in fact the only day. I left Sedgefield with Andy Gray, a 2-year stage 4 pancreatic cancer survivor who was given a matter of weeks to live about 2 years ago, but who, thanks to an amazing amount of willpower, no less than 33 sessions of chemotherapy and some quite revolutionary and as yet unproven medical techniques, is still very much with us. I was joined, as I say, by Andy and by his partner Tricia and their very splendid spaniel Millie, and we set off from Sedgefield, which actually I didn't realise was having a race meeting the day we left. Normally we never even think about what's happening in the courses we're leaving, but in fact they had a meeting. Anyway, we set off, and I was very glad to have Andy with me for all sorts of reasons, and the first became very clear very early on when he looked at the route we had, which he agreed looked extremely sensible, but it didn't include a couple of pubs and a couple of nice streets that he felt we should see while in the area. So we went his way, I put myself in his hands, and it was a very good decision. And we made good progress over rural North Yorkshire and Northumberland, and sort of bypassed Stockton on Tees, stopped at a lovely pub for a pint of Guinness, which was extremely pleasant, hot day, and continued to make good progress towards Middlesbrough. Andy's a remarkable individual. He, as I say, he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer 2 years ago and was given weeks to live, and initially having thought, well, I'll go home and write emails to all my friends and tell them I won't be around for long, he decided that he would, in no uncertain terms, fight. He's had an amazing variety of jobs in his life. He's been in the army, he's been a civil engineer, he's been in the police, and he was most recently employed as a software for a US software business, which, thank God, gave him private medical insurance, because it's that has enabled him to have the very, very extensive treatment that he's had, and it is for that reason, coupled with his indomitable spirit, incredible sense of humour, and just, I suspect, sheer bloody mindedness, that he's still with us. Tricia left us to go back and pick up her daughter, who'd been working, and Andy and I trudged on, went past a most impressive whitewater rafting centre on the outskirts of Middlesbrough that really was very impressive. We sat on the bank overlooking it with our second pint of Guinness of the day, which was lovely, and eventually, on reaching the centre of Middlesbrough, after about 16 miles, Andy thought enough was enough and headed for the station. It was a really impressive performance, given the fact that, you know, he was having chemo up until 3 months ago. He has, I think, benefited from, in his own words, from the 3-month break. He's been skiing, started playing squash again, doing quite a lot of exercise, and it certainly showed. He is a remarkable individual, and he is truly inspirational. And I will meet no one else in the course of this project, I have no doubt, who will be quite as inspiring as Andy was. He makes me very determined. He makes me very determined not just to obviously finish the project, but also to raise as much money as we possibly can in order to combat this dreadful disease and its consequences. Anyway, Andy had moved on, and we went on. I cracked on past the Riverside Stadium, Middlesbrough's home ground. Incidentally, Andy was a Middlesbrough supporter, so with my allegiance to Norwich City, we could be very much in opposition in the penultimate game of the season, when we're both going for promotion of meet at Carrow Road. But I walked past the Riverside into what I can only describe as almost, it appeared, a sort of post-apocalyptic landscape of old steel mills and power stations and a VOC plant, and I walked the most extraordinary path, dead straight for about 5 miles, alongside the Middlesbrough to Saltburn railway line, down a path with 7-foot high fencing on both sides. Didn't see a soul. I mean, absolutely the most extraordinary extraordinary place I think I've ever walked through.
Passing some factory, which I guess, looking at the what's billowing everywhere, looks like there's quite a lot of coal kicking around, burning. It's a pretty bleak place, this. I'm very glad it's quiet, and I'm very glad it's a nice day. And that would appear to be the steam that... I don't know what's going on here.
When I got to the end of it, which is probably about 3 miles from Redcar, there was a walkway up onto a bridge that was clearly the only possible way forward, and the walkway had a rather large fence obstructing entrance and access to it, but clearly I had no great choice, so I scaled the fence, went up the walkway, crossed the bridge, and about a quarter of a mile later I hit the main Redcar road. But what I hadn't noticed, certainly at the start of this extraordinary 5-mile path, which might explain why I hadn't seen anybody, was a sign that was at the other end which said that the footpath was closed owing to a recent survey of a bridge that I had walked over with the fence, which had been described by the local council as structurally unsafe and had accordingly been condemned. So I think I was probably a bit fortunate. Anyway, I walked into Redcar, very flat, very quiet on a Sunday evening, Easter Sunday evening, and arrived at the racecourse about 7:30. So a good night's kip ahead. Monday morning, just inside the 4th pole, down the straight at Redcar. Finished the walk from Sedgefield to here yesterday evening. Had a fantastic day, a really inspirational day. I walked with Andy Gray, 49-year-old, father of 2, was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer 2 years ago and was given weeks to live. Well, he decided he was going to fight it, and I'm delighted to say he's still very much with us. His latest scans were completely clear of tumour. Extraordinary character, really, as I say, truly inspirational individual. And I really enjoyed walking the 16 miles with him that he stayed with me. We're here for an 8-race card bank holiday Monday, and I'm pleased to say that walking the course's official supporter James Doyle has arrived. And I've been in touch with Doyle, so we'll be seeing him later, which will be great. Currently, as I say, just coming towards the 3-furlong pole, walking with Bobby Beavers from Radio Yorkshire Racing, who I suspect spends even more time on racecourses than I do, and that's saying something. And I suspect will spend more time on racecourses than I do even this year, when I will seemingly spend most of my life on them. So I think we're going to have a fun day.